Today we'll be walking through AutoTrac turn automation to increase productivity and quality of job. To run ATTA, it is important to remember that you must have the Automation 4.0 bundle, a Gen 4 display, the Tractor Implement Automation activation, and guidance lines. ATTA, more so than any other automation feature, requires that you have correct offsets in your display. Follow the on-screen videos or the icons and graphics in your Gen 4 display when recording these measurements. For ATTA, it is also especially important that you time the raising and lowering of the implement through SCV control. This will come in handy for headland timing and measurements. Moving into your display, the first step will be verifying your client farm field as well as any driven or impounded boundaries. To do this, select your menu, applications, and then fields and boundaries. From this page, we will be selecting exterior from our pre-populated boundary track. However, you may also feel free to create a boundary track or manage existing ones. Select exterior for your first step, followed by selecting yellow edit pencil next to exterior. On the exterior boundary page, you will want to move the black selection bubble to constant offset by selecting it. From there, a yellow pencil will appear. Click on it to enter your constant offset distance on the headland boundary page. Then click on the box to enter your distance in feet. This number should be equivalent to the working width of your implement multiplied by the number of passes on the end rows that you plan to make. Select Save and verify the yellow dotted line you have created looks accurate. Hit OK to return to the home boundary page. Take the opportunity to verify one more time that your client, farm, and field list is correct. Once you have completed that, hit Save and move on to entering your headland sequences. From your automation status page, select the arrow that is next to Enter Headland Trigger. To do this, you will select New Sequence in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, followed by Add Step in the same place. Once here, select your function, which will be SCV1 for the purposes of the video. Your action, which will most commonly be extend or retract when using SCVs. Enter the distance at which you would like ATTA to begin executing your headland sequences. You will need to name the sequence that you have just created before you can proceed to saving. I always recommend naming them Enter and Exit to keep them straight when having to make adjustments later. To input our exit sequence, we will go through the same steps as before, starting with selecting the yellow arrow on the right-hand side of the screen. Select New Sequence, add your step, and select your action. You may notice that we are putting a negative number in here. This is because we want the tractor to execute the sequence before it crosses the headland. Negative numbers equate to in anticipation of, or before you have crossed the headland, while positive numbers equate to post, or after you have crossed the headland. Once again, name and save your sequence, then return to the Automation Status homepage where you can select the next step in your setup process. This will be adding our implement profile. To begin setting up the implement profile, select the arrow to the right to take you to the implement page. Implement dimensions are the first required piece of information. Here we will put in lateral offset, center of rotation, and rear connection if applicable. Lateral offset will most commonly be 0. Your center of rotation measurement is going to be from the hitch to the center of the rotation point, commonly being the load-bearing axle, while E, your rear connection, is going to be hitch to the back of the implement. This is where the measurements that we took at the beginning of the video become vital in the setup of ATTA. Also required is the selection of an operation type in your display. For this video today, we will be selecting tillage. An accurate working width based on measurements is also required for ATTA and your implement profile. Select Implement Profile and input the distance in feet in the box. Moving down the page of the Implement Profile setup, we come to Work Point. This distance will be from the point of the hitch to the point where the operation occurs. Next, select your work recording trigger. This will most commonly be AutoTrac being engaged, a whisker switch, or an SCV control. For this video today, we will be selecting SCV1. Ensure that you have fulfilled our requirements, select Save, and return back to the ATTA Setup home screen. Now that you are back on the AutoTrac Turn Automation application homepage, select Turn Aggressiveness on the left side of the screen to dictate what shape you would like your turn to be. You may also select Equipment Turn Settings for more advanced settings within ATTA. This page is where you will manage things such as minimum turn radius, maximum turn angle, turn deceleration threshold, response aggressiveness, and your figure 8 turn settings. For turns that require a large deceleration in a short amount of time, it is recommended to go in and edit your turn deceleration threshold measurement. Don't forget that ATTA also gives us the opportunity to maximize coverage on turns using figure 8 turn settings. Once that is completed and we are back on the home screen, we can see that Machine Speed Automation is the last exclamation point left before we complete our green checkmark lineup. For this, that means that maximum turn speed and maximum infield speed must be defined before we can proceed to use ATTA. For this, we must hit the yellow X in the upper right-hand corner. This will take us back to the home page. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see max turn speed and max infield speed. You can hit the button in the middle with the speed to enter your number or use the plus and minus buttons to control. Once that is completed, we can move on to the max infield speed. This ensures a safe turn while using ATTA. Once again, hit the yellow X in the upper right-hand corner to return back to the AutoTrac Turn Automation application home screen. We have listed out steps 1 through 12 of how the display prompts you to set up your AutoTrac Turn Automation. However, if you have a different process that you typically follow, it's important to remember that these are just all the items that need to be inputted into your display. While it is recommended that you follow this order, any order, as long as the information is correctly there, will work. With that completed, let's move over to our display in the field. Once you have fulfilled all requirements and your automation status page shows only green check marks, you may then proceed to use Turn Automation in the field. Note the red light at the top will stay until you have reached the predetermined field speed. A key factor in the success of your ATTA turns will be testing out the numbers that you have inputted into your display for sequences, timing, and distances. Here we will take you through a couple scenarios, both good and bad, to show you what we would personally change about each turn. This video is considered our improper SCV control sequence. As we go into the turn, notice that our implement is not lifting up at the proper time. Because of this, we stop the turn, raise the implement, and disengage AutoTrac. Because our implement did not raise in a timely manner, we have determined that this is because our headland sequence on the enter function is incorrect. To correct this, we must go back to the display, select Menu, Application, and our ATTA application icon. From here, we select the Ready at the top and Edit Enter Sequence. We have determined it is our enter sequence because of the delay of the implement raising. We select the measurement and decide to decrease our footage from 33 to 18 feet. We select Next, Save, and Exit. From here, we also made a last-minute decision to change the turn speed, also found in the ATTA application. The turn speed can be found on the home screen. Once again, you can toggle up and down for minor changes, or simply hit the number to enter a different number altogether. Exit out of your menu and return to the home screen to proceed on your next turn. Here we can see what a turn looks like after changing turn speed and our enter headland sequence. Going into the turn, our implement raises, and the speed is controlled at a much better rate. We would also like to point out that these turns are put through the toughest of conditions as we are turning back on itself at an angle. Because of this, we are not making any adjustments such as skipping passes or changing the direction of our turn. While that turn was much more successful, we still believe that there's room for improvement. This time, you're going to see us change our turn aggressiveness. We opted to increase the number on our turn aggressiveness setting. This is because we would like to see a little bit more of a U-turn rather than a light bulb turn that you were seeing in the last turn sequence. Now that you have seen us edit 3 different settings within ATTA, you will now get to witness what a successful turn looks like. As you can see, coming into the headland and into our turn, our implement raises, and the machine makes a gentle, slow turn. We quickly turn around, lower the implement, and latch back onto our AutoTrac guidance line. With that, we proceed down the rest of the field and wait to do it all over again at the next end. Thank you for watching our video, and if you have any further questions about AutoTrac turn automation, do not hesitate to call us or your local dealer.